At gameranx, we've done a lot of Easter egg videos. We've done countdowns for stuff like Uncharted 4, Doom, Overwatch, Dark Souls, and stuff. But this time, we're casting a huge net as we talk about 7 of the most elaborate Easter eggs of all time. These are really crazy and weird, so strap on your big boy pants and let's get started off with number 7. In The Binding of Isaac, developer Edmund McMillen decided to have a little bit of fun with the fan base when he released the Afterbirth expansion of the game. In it, he included an Easter egg that was so big and complex and freaking weird that it couldn't actually be contained within the game itself. It started off with a new mode in Afterbirth called Greed, in which players fight waves and waves of enemies, and then there's also a donation machine which you use to earn better items for future runs, but players actually caught on curiously that the donation machine only went up to 109 coins instead of the usual 999. This was patched at the 109th hour, no less, and along with that patch, it came with a Steam achievement for donating 999 coins with a strange image that kind of looked like Morse code. Now, of course, someone on Reddit user MetalX, translated the code, which led him to an Imgur page. It had this 109 by 109 dimension image with 8 shadows, a map, the character The Lost, and a passage from Genesis 30:35. Yeah, we're getting even deeper. And eventually, astute players actually caught on and realized that McMillen had been dropping hints to get people to check out the Santa Cruz Boardwalk. When someone actually did venture there, they found this missing poster. Notice the missing numbers at the bottom. Yep, that's 109. Calling this phone number would lead to a voicemail message. On November 13th, the voicemail was replaced with a new message that said, "Christ calls, generous gods don't guide history forever. Knowledge grows." His final form ends beyond greed. If you thought that was really weird and ridiculous, things get even more crazy. McMillen, who had been tweeting out hints here and there about whether or not the community was getting warmer or colder, take into consideration the fact that part of this message was backwards and make it negative. And with that, you get a series of GPS coordinates that point to a building in Santa Ana with the building number, and that building number is, you probably guessed it, 109. When members of the community went to those coordinates, they found a yellow poster with more Bible quotes on it with a picture of a person growing up, growing old, and dying on the back. In addition, there was also a pile of change on the ground, and since McMillen on Twitter had been so adamant about needing a shovel, they dug under the change to find a buried greed statue with writing on it. By using the writing on the statue, the community was able to discover a Twitter page for greed with the Twitter address @IamIsaacsBody. After the community logged into the account and quote-unquote gave him a voice as hinted on the statue by posting a tweet, the developers uploaded an achievement unlocked image saying, "The community unlocked something hidden." As of right now, that's the conclusion of this ridiculous Easter egg. The whole ordeal did lead to a character called the Keeper to be unlocked within the game, and with that, it concluded one of the most elaborate Easter eggs of all time. Or did it? And at number 6, literally any zombies map Easter egg from Black Ops and Black Ops 2 could be featured here, but I'm going to single out the moon Easter egg from Black Ops 1, specifically steps 1 and 2, which require you to play through the Easter eggs of the Call of the Dead and Shangri-La. The 2 previous Black Ops DLC zombie maps, each of which are extremely elaborate on their own. The moon Easter egg itself is really the culmination of the entire zombie story up to before Black Ops 2 was released, and as such, the requirements to see it through to the end were really insane. Requiring players to find computer terminals and play Simon Says with them, and then find more terminals to hack while having another person be ready to press a bunch of buttons in quick succession, and then you had to make sure that the excavator breached a specific tunnel, then you had to knife a floating ball, yes, until it activated a machine that could only be utilized by gathering zombie souls next to it. Then you needed to throw grenades to knock down a bunch of players, which can be gathered by a device and moved into the teleporter, which takes them back into the space station where they must be moved over to the corner of the room with a computer. Then you must find the pipe in the lab to connect the computer to the drill device. Then you jump back to the pyramid and kill enough zombies to fill up 4 tubes with zombie souls, then throw that switch again, and then transport the newly ejected floating stone back outside, and using the device on it, play Simon Says again, and then sit back and watch the earth explode. That is a crazy complicated Easter egg for something like that, but it did hook people, and people did figure it out. And at number 5, let's get a little light and talk about this weird one from Shenmue 2 involving ducks. As you probably expect, this Easter egg is really hidden. To start, once you start airing out books for Zhayong and you meet Fangmei, hit the town and talk to these 2 NPCs, Azumi in the tomato store and Eileen, who is practicing martial arts in the workers' pier part of Pigeon Park. You must then head down this alley and pick up a large bronze medal. With that medal, you can then head to the top of the floor of the arcade and finally have the fight with Eileen. Once you win, head back up there again and you'll have another fight with Azumi, and if you win, she'll promise to show you a special place. Once you win, head back up to the tomato store and you'll find her, and she'll take you to a hidden spot where you can bet on duck races. Yes, but we're not done yet. You can actually go back to the shrine at the start of Disc 2 where you learn to catch leaves. Focus on catching 2 leaves at once, and you'll eventually hear a quack, which will be followed by a white feather falling from the sky. Catch that feather, and you'll spot a duck on top of the tree that you can catch and make your own personal duck that you can control in those duck races. That's totally weird and random, right? It's not just me, especially considering it's such a seemingly big thing, and it's so intensely hidden. But I love it, and I love Shenmue even more for it. At number 4, we have an Easter egg mystery that still to this day hasn't been completely solved. We're talking about that mystery of Mount Chiliad in Grand Theft Auto 5. Now, this was something that started way back when GTA 5 was first released, and everyone thought to journey up to the highest point in San Andreas, where they would no doubt find this mysterious mural atop Mount Chiliad, accompanied by a message that says, "Come back when your story is complete." Now, of course, speculation run rampant, especially considering the mural has 3 pictures of an egg, a man with a jetpack, and a UFO, if that's not cryptic enough. Over time, players discovered a number of murals painted on the mountain, and in addition, these symbols also appeared at the hippie camp nearby. Eventually, it was discovered that you can actually find 3 airborne UFOs upon 100% completion of the game. First, above the hippie camp in Sandy Shores, then above Fort Zancudo, and finally, one on top of Mount Chiliad that only appears at 3 a.m. while it's raining. Also, if you're keeping track, there's also another UFO in the ocean off the coast of Paleto Bay. But what does it all really mean, and how does it reflect back on the mural? Again, there's tons of speculation, but as of right now, no one truly knows. The result of Grand Theft Auto 5 on the Xbox One and PS4 brought with it a bunch of new secrets, including golden peyotes, which transform the player into Bigfoot, and those can actually be found on a specific day of the week in foggy weather between 6 and 8 a.m. Do these peyotes have anything to do with the Mount Chiliad mystery? Is the mystery already solved? Only Rockstar really knows, and of course, Rockstar being Rockstar, they're not really saying anything about it. At number 3, we have to talk about the 3 red cubes from Fez. The amount of secrets that are actually tucked away in Fez is pretty staggering, but it was the 3 red cubes one that sent the Fez community crazy, as players went and scribbled notes down on pads and deciphering cryptic game language and codes and using clues from the game, changing settings on their consoles, and really they did anything they could to possibly find the logic in solving 3 of Fez's most devious puzzles. Basically, there are these 3 red cube puzzles that you have to go back and solve after finishing the game. The first one is in a telescope room, the second one is really tricky with some code deciphering, and the third one you basically kind of just have to brute force it to figure it out. A lot of people don't even know how exactly they did it. But hey, if you do all that, you unlock the 3 red cubes. All you really get is the satisfaction of knowing that you did it and you're crazy enough to figure it all out. And moving on to number 2, we have an extremely elaborate Easter egg, surprisingly, from Battlefield 4. This is the famous Dragon Valley Easter egg. Now, it's insanely complicated to break down, like all the stuff in this video, so I'm going to be paraphrasing a lot, but basically what you've got to do is find a series of 7 extremely hard to find switches in the Dragon Valley map of Battlefield 4. The most difficult thing, though, is that each of these switches activate different lanterns on different parts of the map, and it's all server-based, and it's going to be completely random at times. After probably many hours of trying this, once you get all the lanterns to light, you'll be granted access to a keypad that will give you a Morse code. That Morse code will then send you on basically a map hopping trip to find more Morse code, specifically in Graveyard Shift, that will give you one final Morse code for you to enter a very specific code at a very specific time on a certain map during a certain type of game mode. And if you do all of that, you know what you get? A special DICE LA camo that you can only get through this method, or if you work at DICE. So you get a completely unique camo for doing all that crazy stuff. I think the biggest question is it worth it? I think that's up for you to decide. I'm not gonna judge you. And finally, at number 1, we have a secret from Trials Fusion. Prepare yourself, guys. This is insane, because the people at the developers Red Links are absolutely insane when it comes to Easter egg hunts in their Trials games. But in Trials Fusion, there's a series of hidden wooden planks that all have different letters, and when you put them together, it doesn't really mean anything, but someone out there managed to decipher the code that gives you a clue in the form of a message telling players to perform a secret code at a certain place, and what that does is trigger a secret song that is only played when the game's volume is turned all the way down. Players actually used spectral analysis, yes, I shit you not, in order to discover another message in the form of Morse code in that song. That message actually led to a website where images were posted every day, and they were seemingly clues that the community attempted to follow. This code eventually led to another screen that had a series of different coordinates and instructions pointing to different locations around the world, like San Francisco, Helsinki, and Sydney, and the UK. Trials fans all around the world actually tracked down these locations to find 4 small treasure boxes, some of which were actually buried underground. ground. Inside each of those boxes was a key and a plaque with a very intriguing message. Midday in year 2113, first Saturday in August, one of 5 keys will open the box underneath the Eiffel Tower. The creator of this riddle said in an interview that arrangements have been made to make sure that something will happen on that day for the key holders, which basically means this is going to be a story that is passed down from generation to generation, and hopefully those keys will be handed down as family heirlooms. 96 years from now, hopefully, people will unite with special keys to open a secret box underneath the Eiffel Tower. And all that began as a little secret tucked away in a small indie game about motorcycles. Now, while you let all those weird, crazy stories sink in, think about some wild goose chases you've been on, whether it's in video games or outside of games, and let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video and learned a thing or two, you probably know clicking the like button helps us out, and clicking that circle button in the video if you're new is a great way to subscribe because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.